John, you good?
Yes.
What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 481. My name is Steve, I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by...
Ron.
I remember my first sandwich. And I'm John.
I wish I could remember mine.
I mean of the day.
Oh, of the day. Oh, that's a big... Yeah, you got to clarify that.
Yeah. It was a breakfast sandwich.
Good to see you guys, man. It's been a little bit, huh?
Yes. And it feels like an even longer bit because we were just talking about this. We've had crazy weather here in Baltimore. Steve, you've been traveling.
Yeah.
I know my schedule has been packed with like deadlines and projects and things, and Ronald, I bet yours has too. You're always a gadfly.
I have an album coming out tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Baltimore Club album. I love Baltimore Club. It's how everybody says this when their first thing comes out. It's 10 years in the making. It really is like
that's the number that you always have.
It's it's such an obscure number, but it really is like I had a bunch of like Fruity Loops, like Baltimore Club mixes that I just never put together.
Right.
And then I was like, I've gotten better at this thing. Why don't I try to actually put some things together? And then it actually worked out. 10 tracks. Yeah, I'm excited.
Very cool, man.
Thank you.
It comes out tomorrow, so Friday. This
Friday.
The day you hear this episode drop, it's today.
On all DSPs, digital service providers. And then also I'm going to have a accompanying T-shirt as well that'll be coming out with it.
Is there a bundle package where I can buy the album and the shirt together?
That's a good question. I'd like to do that.
You got to get that together.
So, Steve, there isn't one, is what I'm...
There could be. There could be.
You know, I'm going to leave it open. Since we're hyping music, I don't know if listeners to this show know that I have a lot of music out on...
You got hella music. Hella good music.
Look up sci-fi, not spelled like the genre, but spelled in a kooky way that I have to clarify every time I say it.
Every single time.
S-I-G-H, like, oh, and then F-I-G-H. And there's all of it's on Bandcamp, but then some of it is on Spotify and iTunes, or I call it iTunes because I'm old, but Apple Music, I believe, is what we are supposed to call that. So it's like some of it, like a few of them are out on all the services, and then everything else is a Bandcamp exclusive. But
right.
I've recently had a friend give me advice about that, and he said that you'll get the most plays nowadays if all your stuff is up on YouTube. And
that's what I hear.
I play stuff on YouTube more than I play it in almost any other place when I'm just looking for a song. So I don't know why that hasn't occurred to me. I think some of my stuff, Ron, a lot of the services you use to populate your music, you might know this too, Steve, from your band days. Like, it like DistroKid sends it out to every streamer in the world, and you'll get like a notice, your music is now on Asphalt, and you'll be like, I guess there's a streamer called Asphalt, I didn't know. But for whatever reason I stopped doing that at some point. I think it was to drive people to the Bandcamp Friday sales because I did have a couple of pretty big releases that way, and I think that's when every time since then that I've been like, I need to get on all the services. It's like every time there'd be like a headline about some cool artist leaving Spotify or taking their stuff off streaming, and so I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. But the more I realized, it's like, I don't need to have the dignity of a major artist. I just need to be accessible. So
yes, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Accessibility is key. I mean, and then once you and I start raking in all the millions, then we could be all like,
there you go.
You can play the Neil Young card at that point, right?
Streaming music is the devil. Right. Those people.
Or like Spotify sucks because they enable, these people and that people, that people. Yeah. I like to call them that people.
That people.
But that's cool, Ronald. So what's the name of it again?
I Love Baltimore Club Volume 1.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make it simple because I love Baltimore Club.
Well, I like the titles are kind of fun and funny, and the couple of clips I've seen have a certain kind of humor almost to them as well, like when you're using samples and stuff. And so I do feel like it feels very much of a piece. I would say if people like your vibe on this show, this is just a way to carry that vibe with them into the world, but at a high BPM.
Yeah, it's like a for sure like it's homage to the DJs that existed in the 90s, like DJ Scotty B, rest in peace, K Swift. There's just a bunch of people. I'm going to name them in the post once I put it out. But yeah, but there was a time in the 90s when you would turn on the radio at 92Q and V103 at 8 o'clock. I'd say 94, 95, when you would listen to a chunk, I'd say 3-4 hours of club music.
Right.
And it was like universally accepted that we're going to sit down and listen to this chunk of crazy music. A lot of references to ding-a-lings and dancing and booties jiggling, and that's the fun of it. Like that's the humor that you're referring to, is like that kind of stuff. That was
Oh, ding-a-lings, ding-alongs,
Ding-a-lings,
ding-dongs,
yeah.
schlongs.
Love
slingshongs.
those.
I
Love the
them all.
dingalings. Anything dingaling is like, yeah. Tuning in, guys.
We're very ding-dong positive on this show.
Super, super positive.
Ding dong positive sounds nuts.
That's a good song name. You might.
Oh yeah, ding
somebody
dong
needs to
positive
use
sounds.
I came up with a good album name last night, but I realized it's a test of how much your audience really wants to follow your music. Music for dumb people.
I like that.
But it's like a real litmus test. It'd be like if you released 2 albums on the same day: music for smart people and music for dumb people.
Right.
And put all the singles on music for dumb people. Just see, just test
Yeah.
like people's loyalty to the songs they've heard.
Oh, God.
Or it could be like a flip. Like I remember when I was a kid, there'd be these joke books that would be like dog joke book, and then you'd flip it over and it would be like the cat joke book. So you could have music for smart people, and then you flip it over and it's music for dumb people. We'll talk off mic.
You guys should work that out.
Yeah,
Work
well,
it
you guys
out.
will be working things out because you're about to be neighbors. It sounds
Dude,
like
it's
this is
news
crazy.
to me. Before we were, I was like, the bomb dropped on me. I was like,
Holy shit.
contain my excitement.
So
Yeah,
we're
Rob and I
moving
are
to Steve's neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they were both talking about how great that was, and I was just sitting there thinking about how much not great that is for me.
You
Hey,
can
but
always, look, you
he's that
can
much
always come
closer,
on.
John. Like that way we're all within 20 minutes of each other again. Let's look at this in a
suggest
positive
to
way.
Nikki, we need to move to Owings Mills to make this happen.
You can always come over. I'm gonna try to buy some speakers to make my setup as surround soundy as I can, given the space that I'll have.
With the space, I mean, you should just find one of those old pairs of like the Altec Lansing computer speakers. That's probably all we really need, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just me and you. You get one speaker, I get the other, and we just like
You know what that reminds me of? The fucking the recorder intro of
oh yeah. What is that?
the when somebody's playing it on a recorder. Why am I
Yes.
so zoomed in?
Because you did this. I think you did like a hand signal.
You brought your hands,
Yeah.
like
AI
I
my
thought you did it on
ass.
purpose, and I thought it was smooth as hell the way you did it. But I
Oh,
realized
wow.
now the smoothness was an accident.
This is very much an accident.
That's something that's very very much true of me. Anytime I do something that seems graceful, I get
Right,
around
right.
the corner and I'm like, "Holy shit! What the fuck is happening?" Like one time in front of a party full of people at Nikki's apartment when we just started dating, and it was like her people and her roommate's people. So it was a room full of people that didn't know me or particularly like me yet, And I was going to the door and to get some ice, and Nikki tossed me the keys across the party. And I caught him in the most casual way, Ronald. I like went on the way out the door and caught him. And I got on the other side of the door, and I was just like, I had to call my dad. Dad, I caught something. Dad,
Never
and
gonna believe it,
and
Dad.
it looked good. I didn't drop it because I was so shocked that I had caught it. It's amazing.
your body just like froze. You went into like a froze mode. Like you couldn't drop it if you tried.
Well, I was like, these people are going to think I'm cool now. It was a lot
Right.
to live up to, but
That is
That's sick.
but it was better than what I normally do, which is like,
right.
and then I hit myself in the eye with them.
Which is crazy because this is time-wise crazy because the Drive soundtrack played as soon as you caught the keys.
Yes. That was actually what created Ryan Gosling, was that moment.
That
me
you caught
catching
the keys.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Night Call just played as soon as you got the key. It's crazy. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good
I've
to
missed
see you.
Yeah.
We were saying before we started recording that it really did feel like longer, and I think for all the reasons we just mentioned, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's also felt schlonger. You were talking about penises, so
Yeah, dinger donger.
Ding dong or ding-a-ling positive.
all right. It happened again. Fucking
Let's not ding-a-linger on that subject.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. What's
Do
happening
we
on
have
the
to
episode?
ding-a-linger? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's happening on the episode tonight? We got the Ronald's required viewing. We got some news bits we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And a couple of us, maybe all, and I'm sure Ronald will think of something by the end of the show, but we've all seen something, I'm sure.
All seen things.
And we're going to talk about it. I mean, outside of all seeing ding-a-lings, we've all seen movies too.
Well, the authorities, I've heard that they're meeting saying that we've perhaps seen too much.
Too many ding-a-lings?
And something needs to be
Yikes.
stopped.
Okay, well, we'll wait for the
That
verdict
wasn't in
on
reference
that
to
one.
ding-a-lings. That's just in reference to things,
I
murders
can
we
only
may have
assume you
witnessed
meant
or crimes
ding-a-lings.
that we've seen. Yeah.
Cool.
Imagine if
So-
the government was listening to our show to determine what we
No.
know. Like, imagine if
Let's
somehow
not.
we got on their radar and they actually were listening, had to listen to the, like some guy in the FBI who's about to be trained by a UFC fighter. Have you heard this? That the FBI is bringing in UFC fighters to train.
Oh my god.
Cash Patel is excited about it. I think he's like a 12-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
But that right now they're being they're training on us. They're trying to see if we're
Oh god.
part of the resistance.
Okay, cool.
That's strange stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Required viewing. Let's start there.
Okay.
Required viewing. Ronald,
Oh
take
yeah.
it away.
Oh yeah. A couple years ago, a director, Ryan Prowse, came out with a movie called Low Life. I think we may have talked about it on the podcast just casually, just so. I remember thinking it was a pretty good action-packed movie. And so when I hear that this movie, Night Patrol, came out, it's weird because it says 2025, but it was in the theater this year.
I think it was the festival release like in September of last year.
I heard about this movie that involves cops that are vampires and Crips and Bloods, and I was like, man, I'm curious because we're fresh off of Sinners. And I knew that this was going to happen. There's going to be a series of vampire urban situations that were going to happen in and around the release of Sinners. And this is, to me, the first of them because there's many to come.
I would connect it as well to Zach Cregger's movies in the sense of the way it's broken into chapters and the way that it kind
Right.
kind of picks up that sort of
Sure.
chapter structure and kind of like time, like the timeline is a little fractured across the movie as far as what you know at the beginning and then what you learn as it goes along. And those are two great movies that we just, or three if you count both of Zach Cregger's movies. So that means this movie was great. We just proved that it was great, right, Ronald?
Right. Now imagine if you had Sinners, but none of the soul, none of the sharp commentary, and twice the N-word.
Yeah.
And that look, I don't mind shit talking in the movie, but it just felt like frivolous shit just being thrown around.
Sure.
Yeah, they were making a point out of it was clearly intentional that these characters are like crass and saying shit that is unpleasant. But you're right that it felt a little bit like there was something kind of crass about the way the movie was using those tropes. I think, or it felt that way to me. Like I felt like I didn't know. It's like, is this movie is this like an exploitation film in a weird sort of way, or is it like I don't know? But you're.
I think it was. I think it was, man. And you know, this is like a star. It's like a pretty packed movie. I mean, it's like Justin Long, Jermaine Fowler, Freddie Gibbs, a rapper, YG, a rapper, Flying Lotus, rapper producer, Dermot. I never know how to pronounce his name. Maroney. Okay, because that never looks like that's connected. Those first syllables, second syllables. But yeah, and then CM Punk, who is kind of made his bones as an actor on what's that wrestling show that we were kind of obsessed with for a little the Star Show.
Heels.
Heels that they need to bring back. Yeah. It's funny. None of the actors individually were particularly terrible in this movie. The script was abysmal, though. Like it was very hard following what this was about. It kind of felt like these heavy-handed tropes of Zulu things with Crips and Bloods and look, there's a real narrative. I suggest you guys see this documentary called Bastards of the Party that talks about the roots of the Bloods and the Crips because they did really stand as guardians of neighborhoods back in the day and still do in some places, some parts of California. But this is like a bastardization of even that idea that just doesn't feel like it's quite clear that it feels very pedestrian, if I'm being honest. I think that could have been.
It's weird. It's like the dialogue was very on the nose, and like there's a lot of like exposition dumps in it.
Yeah,
and I kind of agree with you that like it's not the actor's fault, but I think certain actors rose to the occasion much better than others in this movie.
Yeah,
like
for
most
sure.
of the lead performances felt a little off or corny or amateurish or something to me. But then, like I would say, like I thought Jermaine Fowler was good for whatever that's worth, and I thought Justin Long was, he's usually pretty good. It's like I felt like he had a lot of shifts to take care of, but it felt like he was doing something a little heightened, and like there was something wink about the way Justin Long and Jermaine Fowler were playing their characters.
Yeah.
That I think they kind of matched whatever that satirical tone was, because this movie had like moments of almost like slapstick comedy violence. But then I think it really did, like the grim idea of cops going around and framing people in marginalized communities. And, again, it's like it's not very hard at all for us to connect to that idea in 2026 America. Right. So I think that I think you're right that with a little, like on paper, what you just described could be a really cool genre exercise. It could have been something like, oh, this was a really fun genre movie with like almost flipping the polarity of Sinners, instead of like, oh, here's a movie that's about all these things and it kind of has a vampire movie kind of wedged into it.
Yeah.
This could have felt like the opposite of that. Oh, it's like a big B movie, but it's got issues, that it's trying to take on. And so on paper I was really on board, and it took me a while of watching it before I was like, I'm just not meshing with the tone of this movie. And then a little bit more, and I was like, I don't know if this movie quite knows what tone it's going for, or if it ever quite settled into a tone. That was my knee-jerk reaction to it.
It felt like there were like moments where it felt like it was even going to step into intentionally, or maybe not unintentionally, like the horror comedy.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And for the kind of movie that it was in terms of the plot and like the real world topics that are understandable, relatable. You see it in the news every day, and for that to happen, or for it to feel like that was happening in the movie, was very kind of unsettling. Or it was just kind of like, I don't know if this is intentional or if this is a mistake, or it feels so weird right now that it's like something tonally with like the tone you're getting at, John. But like in some of the writing, maybe not so much of the performances, because I feel like there's probably some really good actors and bad actors in this film, objectively speaking. But I think the script really doesn't do anybody justice in even having a shot at something great. But I agree, like Justin Long, I really like Justin Long, and he's enough to make me watch a movie. I think I said when you pick this, like this is kind of one of those things. I saw him, and I'm like, I'll watch that, especially because there's a horror element. But yeah, I don't know. This was a very weird movie, and so cliche, and the exposition dumps, and I mean, I don't even know. Like it was a very weird watch. Like I did not like this movie, but you try to find the nice things to say about it, because I don't want to just like be negative. But outside of maybe some decent performances and doing the best that they can, I guess. But like even the way the movie ended was like such a weird cut to credits moment, that it was like, oh, so there's going to finally be something that happens that feels like something for the one character maybe you're waiting for that moment for, and then it just goes to a credit.
Yeah.
It was very, even that is like, that was very jarring. That decision as a director or even the script, whatever, um, just felt so messy, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. The concept is kind of interesting and cool.
Yeah.
And like to what Rana was saying, like, the gang politics and like, the way that the police are seen in today's world and kind of the direct like, kind of analogy to like vampires being untouchable in ways that
Hmm.
cops are already, and those two things being married together is like makes it kind of crazy cool, right?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that in a horror, movie, a
Well,
horror thriller, whatever.
even before I believe Justin Long is turned into a
Right.
vampire, there's a part where he goes. Maybe this is after when he delivers the bike. I guess this is before.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks, "Can I come in?" And she kind of stands back and lets him in. And it's like that's very vampire. Do you know what I mean? The idea
Yeah.
of like entering, allowing to enter. I don't know. I just thought that was. I had that thought, Steve, of like,
Yes.
this is a cool thing to juxtapose. And I also think the night patrol of the movie is a police force that only goes out at night, and they do all these crooked things and kind of frame people in the gang wars, I guess, or maybe they're creating gang wars by framing people in these killings that they're doing. And it's like that concept is like, again, it's very B movie, very sweaty.
Yeah.
Could be great. And like, so the raw material is there for something really that could have been really like
Kind of cool.
like
Yeah,
very
could've been
cohesive,
cool.
right? It's almost got a clean concept to it, and it is kind of
Yeah.
fun to see Justin Long play this. He's so often the victim in a horror scenario. It's fun
Yeah.
to see him play kind of a monster character. I guess
Yeah.
he's done that before too, but it was he was turning into a walrus in that. So he gets to turn into something cooler in this. But I like how they make him. And again, he's almost kind of a comedy character as a vampire in this. Like the way
Yes.
that he like I don't know, just his facial expressions and his performance was kind of what you're saying, Steve. It's like, okay, is this meaning to be funny, or are they
Right.
did they just cast a funny actor in this role?
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say without it's leveraging so many and Steve, you are saying this and I wanted to tell you how what it meant to me when you said it. It's leveraging some serious shit. And because it's leveraging in it and not handling it well, it's offensive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like because it's not landing it's like you're conjuring a bunch of real things that aren't. I think that's what makes Sinners so special. I mean, it's like it's a stew. You have these really heavy subjects that you're leveraging to leverage this black pain and
Right.
black and brown pain, like it's just like a storyline, is a shitty thing to do. And this doesn't feel like a good enough movie for you to. I keep saying conjure, but it is really like you are really pulling from some really painful things and not really
Not earning
leveraging it in a way. Yeah. You're not earning it. You're not leveraging it in a way that feels like effective enough. It almost feels like, again, pedestrian. That's what really felt different about Sinners. Like I felt like I was there. Everybody that watches it felt like they were in the juke joint. I never felt like I was in the gang. I felt like I was watching a bunch of very funny. Oh, motherfucker, what you going to do? It felt very weird. That part felt kind of, that part was cool enough, but Freddie Gibbs is pretty solid in it. CM Punk seems very racist in it. Justin Long is solid, like you said, but there's the in between people that just kind of feel like, man, what am I watching?
Yeah, because it's almost like when you do that stuff and you don't handle it that well, it can feel kind of after school, especially. in terms of like when it does touch on one of those issues, you know, and then you've got the supernatural. Like there's a lot of lore and mythology that's like baked into this world that at first I thought was kind of neat. Like when the gang is out there and they're seeing the dead body and they're talking about like what kind of monster it was that did it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is like, you know, like, okay, these guys are like in a gang, but they know about all this shit that's going on. And I was just like, all right, this might have a little juice going for it. But it's like, it was very like made for TV sort of feeling in terms of the overall quality level of things. And I think overall that kind of dragged me down. And I never really felt, I mean, I guess I'm just echoing what you said, Ronald, but I never really felt like the world building gelled. They were doing a lot of it. And it's like the element, like you're talking about like the Zulu warrior kind of get up that he's in as a
what the
movie
fuck
is like that felt so strange and silly. It really clashed with the tone of the rest of it. But in a movie that was handling that stuff better, that could have felt like a kind of fun, cool, unexpected thing. You know what I mean? Instead, it felt sort of like, oh, they're doing this too on top of everything else. And then he's the Green Lantern as well, which is another thing that confused me. Was the
what's with the ring?
Yeah, exposition. Yeah, you know, and the gag was weird with the thing you're talking about was used as a gag throughout the movie. The gang members were talking about the body. That's another thing. This guy just lost his sister. She was mutilated, and he's like, "We got to get at the motherfuckers." And sure, that's part of what you feel, but I would be crushed if I saw somebody ripped apart in front of me. Mm-hmm. And then the gag of them kind of guessing what kind of thing it was an overestimation throughout the whole movie. So
it
it'd be
should
like
have been his sister.
Yeah.
That should have been some girl in the neighborhood that they all knew.
100%.
If they were going to play it that way. Yes, I totally agree with you. That felt very tone deaf or just inaccurate to the way anyone would be acting in that moment.
Something would happen and he'd be like, yeah, it got to be a sorcerer or some shit like that. He's like, no, motherfucker, it's a vampire. It's not anything this complicated. And that was a gag throughout the whole movie. And it was like, if they're so smart, why do they not get that? What is that big container of blood doing right there? Like nobody's like, it was very strange. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, but you know, I like it when we pick something recent, and when you guys,
me too.
You know, I like it when we pick something that we wouldn't have watched otherwise. So I like the game. I want to say right here now, keep it coming. Not every movie should be one of these wild gambles, but we should not lean too hard on movies that are respected or that we know are great. Sometimes you see that movie that's got 54% on Rotten Tomatoes and it's a winner, and you're like, what are people smoking? And this is just not one of those times, you know, where you come out going, people got it wrong.
I wouldn't say I'd never watch it again, though. That's another thing. Like if it were on, like if it were on the Shudder something, you know, I think they have like a channel thing that just plays random horror films. I mean, if it came on again on, you know,
I just Shudder.
Well, you know, I think they have the free thing, like what do they call it?
Okay.
I mean, once you get it, it's like I forget. They try to make it like a real TV station where it just has like a revolving. I thought the Shudder had that as a part of the service.
Maybe they do. I know
they're
some
trying to add
that. I like that. I like that.
Me too. They're trying to add that to everything, which I'm kind of a fan of. But if it came on again, I'd watch it. But
I'm always glad to find out what's up with, especially a small, because this would be great if we discovered a gem. This would have been like a great recommendation for folks. But
yeah, I have a horror short that I'm writing, and it makes me want to like get back to the drawing board and polish this thing up. Like, I mean, I have a first draft. I'm like, I need to polish this a little more.
Well, you know, it's execution dependent, right? Like there is a world where. I mean, you start with an iffy script, you're gonna maybe the odds are against you. But if you have an okay script and everybody's locked into the tone and the way it's shot is locked into a tone, I think you can But when you're writing something, you don't know how to guarantee that all that stuff's going to fall into place. So I guess that's why a really good script is a great way to start. Great way to start a movie. But I mean, this movie again could have felt kind of almost campy, and I think what you're talking about, Ronald, the friction between what works best about the movie is an almost like scary movie level and I mean the series, not the type of movie. Like it almost had that level of like slapstick gore in it,
Yeah.
and then on top, then you have all this stuff about like the institutionalized suffering that of black and brown people that's happening in at the hands of the police. It's like
Mm.
that is not the same. Those two things don't exist in the same movie that easily.
Right,
So
right.
it would take a really deft hand to do a sort of satirical wink wink movie that's got some funny stuff in it that's dealing with all that really serious stuff. So, yeah, they took a gamble too. They gambled and we gambled on them. Sometimes you come out of the casino with a headache and empty pockets.
Yeah, yeah.
The movie casino. But we did it. We watched it,
You did.
and then we talked about it.
And that's what we need to do, right?
That's our
We have
calling.
that's what we have to do.
We came, we saw, and we watched it. Who's next?
Hold on,
Me.
Steve. Let me pull up the graphic for
Yeah, guess-
selecting a new movie. There we go. All right.
Oh man, I'm torn now. I'm kind of like I had something in mind, but now I'm like I saw that there was another movie that I think is out digitally now, just to be consistent with Ronald's pick. Uh, I think I might stay with the vampires for a hot second.
Okay.
Okay.
I only know about this movie because I know there was a week about a month or two ago where it was the only movie that came out, maybe the week of the Super Bowl. It came out in theaters, and I believe it's available already on for rental digitally. Um, Let me make sure of this before I pick this. I'm just double checking. Yes. It's Luc Besson's Dracula.
Oh.
Came out about a month ago or so, and it kind of caught my eye mainly again because it came out the weekend of the Super Bowl. It was the only movie released in theaters. Um, Again, Luc Besson, Caleb Landry Jones, like him, he's kind of out there wild, interesting actor.
Yeah, he is.
Christoph Waltz is in it as well.
Gotta love it.
And I've actually seen a couple people posting about it recently that they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That it was kind of interesting or fun, or maybe not fun, but it was interesting. And
Henry
that
liked
like
it.
there were some cool performances and some of the special effects is kind of are interesting. But just yeah, an interesting take on on Dracula in general and period piece and a couple actors again that I find interesting. So yeah, looks like it's available for rent on Amazon or most of those platforms. Um, so yeah, let's check this out. This is 2026's Dracula.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if you heard me, but Henry saw it with a friend or with some friends and said he liked it. So
Oh, did he? Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't like raving about it, but it was like it's like I had read some pretty harsh reviews of it,
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
but he didn't know that, and so it's like he had that honest, just it was good, I liked it, like he wasn't having the too online reaction to it because like sometimes I know a little too much about how people are receiving a movie, and it infects my. It doesn't change what I think, but it infects my thinking about the movie sometimes. So to be like, oh, that movie sucks, right? Oh no.
Right.
But I could see it being really interesting, and I think Caleb Landry Jones is one of the reasons why it seemed interesting to me because he's a kind of a cool choice
Yeah.
because of what you said, his odd energy.
He's got a weird vibe and an energy. You're right to him that I think
And he kind of looks like the famous painting or drawing you see of
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler too. He's kind of got that look.
it's got pretty good. I mean,
It might be him.
it's got decent reviews. I mean, middle to above, So I don't know. We'll check it out. I mean, again, I've been interested in it even because I was like, they have a movie with names and a director with a name, and they're still putting it in theaters, and it actually did okay in theaters for what this movie cost, and it's already on digital. But I mean, yeah, that's we're gonna keep with the John. No pressure for your choice next week, but we're going vampires a second week in a row, and trying to find one that none of us have seen. So this seems to be a good pick. So
I have there's an actor. The movie that I'm planning on choosing next is not a vampire movie, but we can pretend that it is based on a certain actor that's in it. So I'll save that reveal for next.
we'll save it. Okay, again, Dracula. 2026 is Luc Besson. It's on digital rental right now. News. Beep, 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 beep.
Ronald, you had some news you wanted to discuss? Did you mute yourself?
You are muted, Ronald.
How am I muted? That was weird.
Now you're
Uh,
not.
oh, I was drinking the water. I didn't want to.
That'll do it.
It kept crinkling.
Oh, the plastic bottle.
Yeah, it kept crinkling. Long story short, Universal is looking to change the window of release for movies. Starting this year, I think it's going to be 5 weeks. And by 2027, it's going to be 7 weeks or something like that, which is really cool. That the I don't know. I can't tell if that's a move to say screw streaming, because it feels like when during COVID, long time ago, the period of time that no one wants to acknowledge, which makes me uncomfortable, but that period of time was really weird because things were being dropped like crazy, right? All over the place. And then that kind of created a standard of release where companies were saying, if it doesn't do very well, it's coming out very fast. If it does okay, that we'll consider keeping it out for a little longer, but it would come out normally in less than 3 months to PVOD. And there seems to be some backtracking on how long a movie is staying in theaters. And I think it's starting with, Universal is coming out with some bangers, to be completely honest. Mario Galaxy being one of them. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about a release window being changed. 45 days by 2027, man. That's crazy.
Well, aren't a lot of movies already? I mean, it's like if it's interesting to state it as like a statement of intent for sort of all movies, I guess. But I feel like we've seen that. I mean, there have been certain movies that have been holdouts, that because of how well they're doing. So it just feels like inching back towards the way they used to do things.
Yeah.
Which was frequently, like you said, like 12 weeks before you would expect to see it at home. They would give it plenty of time to run, a theatrical run, and then you would maybe not even have access to it for a little while. But nowadays, it seems pretty much like by the time a movie's out of theaters, you sort of assume you have access to it at home. I like it for the movie biz. If we get back to this feeling of like creating more of a sense of you got to get out to the theater, but I also don't like it because I'm a person that sometimes is super busy, and I like when those things come up on streaming quickly, so that I can see a bunch of movies that like especially when we do like our year-end list or whatever. Yeah. I always like when I don't have to wait 2 months to see certain things. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's probably good for the movie business if they start creating this sense that yes, viewers are going to need to come out and see these movies. That movies need to be an outside the house, communal, big screen experience again. I like that as a concept, even if my schedule doesn't love it.
So it's it'll be interesting if it tanks like that. They're not very clear on what that window is going to be. It says that it used to be. Is it still going to remain 17 days?
No. So I mean, this is effective, basically immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
So
but what if it tanks though? What if a movie completely tanks?
It doesn't matter. I mean, if their commitment is to a minimum of 5, so this year, the commitment is to a minimum of 5 weekends. Yeah. So depending on how the release dates go, if it's a Wednesday release for Friday, or holiday releases, it's 31 to 35 days. Like that's, basically double what it was now for movies opening. So right now it was 17 days if it opened under 50 million. And if it opened over 50 million, they could exercise it to keep it in theaters for 30 days. So now it's basically saying everything is a minimum of 5 weekends, and next year everything will be a minimum of 7 weekends. So that's the 45 days that you're talking about, Ronald. So the only exception that was announced is that Focus Features is an arm of Universal that they're gonna maintain the current shorter window, the 17-day to 30-day window. But all the major Universal releases, and I think this timing is intent because their first kind of like spring movie comes out tomorrow. It's the romantic drama Reminders of Him. So, it comes out the day this podcast comes out. But yes, they have the Super Mario movie, they have Disclosure Day, they have Minions and Monsters, they have the Odyssey, they have Focker-in-Law, which is the, sequel to Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, and kind of. I think they're framing it as like our windowing has always been the intent has always been around the marketplace. So like, during COVID, the theatrical marketplace was barren. It was like, it was forever changed, arguably. But yeah, I think it's a black and white issue. Like it's binary. It's when a movie comes out this year from Universal, it will be in theaters for 5 weekends, whether it bombs or is a blockbuster. Like it doesn't matter. And that's the way every other studio basically is doing it. Some studios like Disney go as high as 60 days, and some filmmakers get even longer windows depending on, who they are. A Nolan, a
Christopher Nolan, for
Shyamalan,
sure.
even Tom Cruise, like certain celebrities, certain
Tom Cruise.
producing groups, they kind of flex that even further to have longer windows. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good thing for theaters. I think it's not a great thing for people that don't get out to theaters a lot. But I mean, I think it's also, I don't know that difference in, 2 weeks ish, 2.5 weeks is gonna affect you or or change the way you consume movies. Like because I kind of find myself falling in between the two mindsets as someone who, again, like I would always prefer to see a movie in a theater, like if I
Yeah, me
could.
too. Me
All of
too.
us probably agree on that. And it's just like, the reality of life is that sometimes I don't get to.
Yeah.
And, um, it just is nice to be able to watch it at home sometimes, like especially when you have nice setups like Ronald does, or other friends or family members, we watch stuff here and there. Even mine's fine in my basement, like it's something that's very enjoyable to watch any movie. But again, if this helps theaters, if this helps exhibition, if it helps, getting movies on a big screen and just kind of as another kind of just brick in the wall of, trying to support this exhibition and theaters in general, like I like that. I like the idea of kind of consolidating this a little bit and maybe having some consistency so there's a little less infighting among the studios and exhibitors
Mm.
about who does what and how. Even when Netflix was talking and in the midst of, the Warner Brothers acquisition, they were basically saying they were going to commit to a 45-day window as well. So I think that's kind of what the exhibitors have always been pushing for, is not to say to go to this, 60-90 thing, which is I personally believe is too long. But I mean, a 45-day, it sounds like a lot, but I think, for certain movies, it's probably not that insane. Um, but I mean, if that's ultimately where Universal ends up, I think it's only better. It's only going to help movies if it's only going to help theaters if the movies are good and the movies are successful and they're making what audiences who want to spend their money on theaters will want to see. And hopefully the market tells them that and dictates that, and they start listening to that
Yeah.
a little more in the right directions, and not only just making like big reboot, sequelized IP type stuff because that's the only thing that people pay for. But if that's the case, again, to Universal's comment, if that's what the market starts to see and like other movies aren't surviving in theaters, this will change again. I mean, they
Mm.
have the power to do that. And the theaters need the movie, so in the end, they're never going to not play a movie from some of these big studios, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So I don't know, it's interesting, but yeah, it was interesting that like they were kind of the outlier. And now I think because of this urgency to support theatrical, to support the studio system, even in the shadow of what's happening with Warner Brothers and now Paramount, it's you really do want to build up a wall around the exhibitors and to kind of protect this medium. So I don't know. It I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, as a movie lover, it's probably the best thing is to like just get people back in the mindset of if you want to be part of that initial conversation, then
Yeah.
go out and see it.
Right.
And if you don't care, then it'll be there soon enough. It's not like it was when we were kids, where movies might be 6 to 9 months sometimes between theatrical and
Exactly.
existing on home video. So we're kind of spoiled in that sense. Um, Well, I have a little bit of movie news that I wanted to mention just because I thought it was cool. Like my inner 10-year-old occasionally sees a news item that's very exciting. I'm not like the biggest Arnold Schwarzenegger guy. I'm not the biggest even the original Conan movie. I mean, I love it as a sort of a thing of its time, and I've seen it many times over the years, but it's not something I think about that often. But I like the theme music from it, and I think it's one of those perfect uses of Arnold, you know.
Sure.
And it's early in his career before he became Mr. One-Liner, so there's something kind of legit about that performance that's almost kind of innocent and naive in a strange way compared to like the you know the huge blockbuster machine that he became later. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is being brought back with Chris McQuarrie, who's going to be writing and directing King Conan, or at least that's what they seem to be calling it in the initial press. And King Conan is a movie that was sort of teased at the end of the original Conan. You know, at the end of that movie, it ends with a little bit of narration that kind of throws forward and says that this is what happens. And you see him sitting on the throne, I believe. Maybe I've created that memory. But anyway, it's just an idea that they never did, which I think now the fact that Arnold is old enough to really be the guy who's been, 40 years later than the original story and has had all these years. Normally I'd be like, oh, that sounds like it would be kind of fun to see. The fact that it's Chris McQuarrie who makes big, giant, like roller coaster ride, eye-popping adventures, and that this is going to be like a dark fantasy epic that's hopefully going to be full of violence and crazy characters and who knows what kind of effects. Arnold said some very typically Arnold things about the movie. I love the way he said this. I do not do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, but you can totally picture someone doing a great impression and saying what he says here about the movie. Just the way he describes it. It's a great story where Conan was 40 years as king and he gets complacent and now he gets forced out of the kingdom slowly. Then there's conflict, of course, and then he somehow comes back. That's my favorite part. That's like they haven't really worked it out yet. And then there's all kinds of madness and violence and magic and creatures. Now, of course, you have all the special effects and the studio system has plenty of money to make those movies really big. So I'm looking forward to all of those projects. When he says all of those projects, he's talking about an also possible return to the Predator films that he's talked to Dan Trachtenberg about. And the other craziest announcement is that John Matrix is returning in Commando 2.
Oh my God.
So he's having like a legacy moment.
Wow.
However, I would say that the King Conan announcement is to me the one that's really the coolest because of the McQuarrie part of it. Just I'm looking forward to seeing what someone like that does with this kind of material. Sure. Because if you know the depth of the Conan stories and all the, that Robert E. Howard wrote, there's so much crazy stuff that happens in them, and there's so much of what Conan is that we in our culture, we sort of picture Arnold, but there's a lot more to the character in the books than that, or in the stories than that. The kind of guy he is, he's really smart and really kind of, in the book he's not described as really big, or on the page he's not described as really big. He's big, but he's more like lithe and panther-like. In fact, I think every Conan story compares him to some kind of cat-like grace that he has, which we all know Arnold, of all the things he has, cat-like grace is perhaps not one of them.
Right.
But, I don't know that Arnold could snatch a key ring out of the air with the grace that I did that night at that party. But he could try. No, I just think it's interesting. I wonder if it's not going to happen because he did announce it in like hey, I'm just announcing franchises I want to return to. But it does seem like maybe, it is a little bit weird in a strange, like to be like, Arnold hasn't had a big moment in a while, or a movie where he really has taken things on, and it feels strange. Like, I imagine he's still bankable to some folks. Like I said, he was never like one of my biggest guys, but I do think surely he hasn't aged completely out of relevance in terms of certain things. So I think him as Conan has a certain kind of juice to it that might make people curious. And I know I can't be the only person in my age demographic who was like, oh, they're doing King Conan. Like you just have that little thing that like it's not like I was waiting for it or desiring it necessarily, but I always thought it was strange that they didn't fulfill that. And in fact, I think years ago there was supposed to be a script by John Milius for that movie that was like legendary behind the scenes that people talked about. Oh, if they ever produced this script. I don't think that's what they're going with on this one because it is Chris McQuarrie writing. But anyway, there's a lot of material there, and I think it seems kind of fun. But I guess more so, just what do you guys think of this era of potential Schwarzenegger trying to get back into it and remind people, why he was a one of the biggest box office draws of the '80s. Arnold, what do you think about Commando 2 being on the horizon?
That I'm not looking forward to. I'm gonna be honest with you. But the other stuff sounds really cool. Arnold is one of those guys that's like he's kind of surprised me over the years. Like I thought that he was a very specific kind of person. I mean, sure, he has some bully tendencies. He calls people girly man and stuff like that, but politically he's a lot different than I thought he was. And social, he's an interesting
the
guy.
spectrum opened up. We thought he was pretty much like a far right asshole.
Yeah,
and then oh no, he's really not one of those guys.
He's really not, man. Like
way
it's
better than some of those folks.
very strange. But then also just ideology wise, like he there's like he got a little less harsh about his messaging about like being healthy and there are benefits to it. He's like, there's benefits to it. Where he used to be like, you're a girly man if you don't work out. I do like that he's kind of softened up a little bit, and that probably through having kids and having these, traveling around the world, meeting more people. So I root for him in a very specific way. Like he's one of those people that has generally stayed, I was going to say sucker free, drama free for the most part. But he's crazy. But also, I don't know. I'm curious to see what he's going to do. This feels like a totally different part of his life. Like it feels like yeah, it's weird. It's like this. I'm interested. I wouldn't even mind seeing him in another Terminator movie. Like actually him though, like not like a CGI version of him younger.
Yeah, how would they do that? He's not supposed to age. I mean, either way, they could figure something out. Because
they aged
the
him
one
like,
we made with the aging module in it.
They figure something out.
But yeah, Predator is having a little bit of an upswing, at least in terms of people that have caught on to Badlands and Prey. And is it Killer of Killers? Is that the name of the animated anthology?
Yeah.
So yeah, Predator's having kind of a thing going on right now. So, bringing him back into it feels almost like a no-brainer, especially if he's up for it. So, although Dan Trachtenberg has said he wants to do something in his career at this point that isn't Predator based. That he still wants to make other movies before he dies that don't have predators in them. But I think Dan Trachtenberg should take that back, and no matter what movie he makes forever, there should be a predator in it somewhere. Like, it could be a romantic comedy, but there's a predator that comes through a party at one part. Maybe he catches some keys. Something cool like that. But, I do think that this idea of Arnold getting back to Predator, it almost makes so much sense. It doesn't even need the Arnie engine to do it. It just needs the fact that Predator is sort of a healthy franchise right now, and it's like, what would you think would be what could bring people into one of those movies? And I think him coming back would possibly be a hook for some folks.
Sure.
So that was the news. Anything else?
I don't know if you guys how you guys' sensitivity is to just mushy shit, but the Cinematheque Awards that just gave Michael B. Jordan an award pretty recently, the American Cinematheque Awards. Man, watch that shit. It is insane. So it's like Ben Affleck's there, Bradley Cooper, Mahershala Ali, Ryan Coogler. It is packed. It is packed full of people kind of sharing their feelings about Michael B. Jordan. I didn't realize that Ben Affleck and Michael B. Jordan were so cool, but they kind of talk about that, and it's really cool. But yeah, it's cut up into clips on YouTube. There's about 10 of them because it's like every guest, and then Ryan Coogler's speech, because he's like presenting Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan's speech. But as we get to the Oscars this weekend, man, it's cool to see just how many people are rooting for him behind the scenes. Just seeing Bradley Cooper and Ben Affleck show up for him was really cool, man. Like, and they're huge fans of Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. Jordan's huge fans of them. So That's
I'll
cool.
love to see that.
Yeah.
Um, well, what else has anyone seen? Ronald, have you been to the theater?
No, man. I've been,
Have you been to the home theater?
yeah, just been watching The Pit.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
actually, I caught up on that on vacation actually, like at
Yeah.
night. I got caught up on this season. I hadn't watched any
Goodness, that show is
episodes. Yeah,
tremendous.
I love the show. Clearly, we talked a lot about it last year, but yeah, the second season's great so far.
Yeah.
The only thing I kept seeing people posting about this Netflix movie War Machine.
Hmm.
Alan Richson, what's his name? One of my guys, Stephen James.
Oh, cool.
He's in it. I didn't know he was in it, but Dennis Quaid is in it. Isan Morales is in it. Jay Courtney is in it. This is basically if speaking of Predator, so it's Predator, but the monster is a transformer or some sort of like type of device
Ideos
killing.
mio.
The titular
Um,
war machine.
well, maybe I don't know if it's him or if it's Alan Richardson. It leaves it to be
Oh.
remains to be seen. Um,
The real war machine were the friends we made along the way.
that's what they would say.
Mm.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, so I just saw people posting like constantly about it. Just kind of like, oh, Netflix just casually dropping like a really good action movie, which they do their fair share of pretty solid action films. We've talked about a couple of them recently. Um, but yeah, this movie was a lot of fun. This is like that felt like a throwback like 90s action sci-fi thriller. Basically it follows Richard's character who is a uh he's going through the Rangers program. Like the whole idea is that he's trying to get through the program, and the last mission is this thing called the Death March. And throughout the film, you're kind of seeing these TV screens and news footage of a something kind of going through space, kind of heading towards the Earth. Like it looks like an asteroid or some sort of comet or something, and it kind of continues to allude to something mysterious happening on its way to Earth while we're following this character through the Rangers boot camp and through the kind of this final thing that they call the Death March, where they get dropped off in this terrain where they have to complete a mission, whatever, whatever. Well, this thing crashes in. They don't know it's crashed. No one knows it's crashed because they had no comms, and they
Mm.
basically think they're completing a mission and come across this thing and realize, oh, this is not a part of the mission. We got to survive. And this thing just turns into a killing machine and just starts picking off these rangers, and he's got to survive and save them and get to the end of the movie. But yeah, it's a cool movie, man. It plays quick. Some cool action sequences. The War Machine, both Richardson and or the Transformer itself, looks really good. Looks really cool on the screen. I watched
Mhm.
it was in my little home setup in the basement. Looked amazing. Not amazing film. Some very thin character development, some cliched army crap that drives me nuts. I always talk about this.
Yeah, military kind of
Like
gets boring.
yeah, it just gets played out. When it gets away from that stuff is where the movie's better, in my opinion. And it's kind of got some of that cliche, just I don't even know what the right word is. Jingoistic. I don't know. That stuff
Yeah.
just kind of gets to me. But you can't. This guy's an action star. Like he is. Like he's in. What is he in? Reacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his big series. And I mean, whatever else he has going on. He's an action star. Like period. Like you're talking about Arnold. What made him a huge action star. We're talking about those guys, those characters. Not that this movie's in that consideration or that conversation, but I mean, you can't watch it and say that this dude is not some sort of action star. He is. I mean, he's got an audience. It's a huge hit on Netflix already, and it's for that reason. He's a recognizable name. People know him from Reacher, know him from some other things, and I mean, he was even in the Fast and the Furious series. But this is a fun, easy watching action sci-fi thriller, and yeah, I would say check it out. If any of that sounded interesting to you, I was a little bummed that my guy wasn't really used to what I was hoping. Like Stephen James is in this movie. an actor I really like who I think is not in enough things. But I don't know. I don't even know the last movie I saw him in. To be honest with you, it's been years. Um, but yeah, he's one of the Ranger cadets or recruits. That kind of is I guess the second lead of the film. Um, but yeah, it's on Netflix now. It's the top film on Netflix. It's called War Machine. I would probably recommend checking it out. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
John, what did you see?
I saw Scream 7.
Oh man.
Imagine blood splattering.
Yeah, no spoilers, okay? I didn't see it
No
yet.
spoilers. No
I haven't
spoilers.
seen it either.
That's why I was
Nothing.
going to say I'll give you a quick comment, and then I was going to field any questions you might have, and I will answer them in a non-spoilery fashion. But
Okay.
I saw it this afternoon. It was actually a
Oh,
rare
wow.
afternoon where I was free, and Henry was out of school and didn't have anything going on, and I picked him up, and was just like, "Hey, do you want to go see Scream?" Like it was starting like 10 minutes after I picked him up, and so we just went and sat down and saw it. We both had expressed interest, even though comments have been bad, reviews have been relatively bad. But you saw just enough people saying, "Come on, folks, let's get real. When has the sixth sequel to a slasher film been a great movie? Let's not have our expectations too high." But there is this perception of Scream being like a special sort of thing, and I think maybe I would say that's the thing that I saw kind of slipping away when I was watching this movie, was like, this doesn't feel particularly special as a movie, but it in some ways it's not. I mean, I didn't love aspects of Scream 6. And Scream 5 even had it's been like diminishing returns for me over the last few movies, despite having great sequences and some memorable moments and kills. And I would say, if you look at it that way, the words that Henry said to me when we were leaving the theater are not wrong. He said, "Well, it was bad, but it was fun." And I think he means like satisfying your curiosity. That's what we were both talking about, was like we both were too curious to see what it was, even if we knew it wasn't going to be great. So, but it's not great. I mean, and you could say parts of it are, the logic of the scene is bad. There's one thing I would not spoil for you, but I would say it was like I laughed out loud at one part of the movie that was so stupid, and Henry kind of laughed too. No. It was just like a logic leap that I just don't think the movie creates a tone that allows you to handle the logic leap. But, Scream's all about setting up red herrings and who could it be, and you're doing the math. Well, these 4 people were in the room when that happened, but maybe that's one of 2 killers, or maybe there's 3 killers, and maybe the killer is somebody we know from another movie, and maybe it's not. So, I mean, all those Scream kind of mysteries are in play. And I will say, is this written and directed by Kevin Williamson? Is that or he co-wrote it or something?
I think so. We can check.
Because, I mean, that's a back to basics thing for this franchise to do, to say, okay, we're going to have the guy who originated the script, and which was like the big catch. I mean, Wes Craven very ably directed those films, but it was Kevin Williamson's screenplay that really was like where the innovation was, in the sense of what that movie was trying to do with discussing the rules and everything. So Kevin Williamson co-wrote the screenplay for this film. That's short for a screenplay for a film now. He wrote the scrum.
He wrote that scrum.
And I think his direction there are moments where it felt very like CW show kind of ish in terms of the direction of it, which is not great. But there also were some good sequences and some good scares that were set up, like, just where you're in a situation and we know the killer's going to pop up, and we see stuff in the background, or we see something move, or we see, like, there's a couple moments where we know there's a moment, opening scene is in a recreation of Stu Macher's house.
Oh, wow.
And so in that, there's
trailer.
like a statue of Ghostface that is, played for tension of, is that just the kind of robotic statue, or is it actually a killer? There's little moments like that come into play, and I think they did a good job of creating that kind of dread that you can create just having a wide open shot, and you're watching the background and you're checking to see where's something going to come from. It did a good job of that in the opening scene. But in general, there's some just increasingly sort of reality-defying things as the movie goes on. I don't remember Ghostface Killer. the rapper. I don't remember Ghostface being that much of a tank that he can keep getting up when he's been like hit and hurt badly. I guess they've done that in all the movies, but that's something they never really have addressed. Like this movie, he's almost a Michael Myers like figure who can get like hit in the face with a fire extinguisher and then just get up like nothing happened. And I don't know if that kind of bumps me. You know what I mean? Like the like, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, correct me, Steve. Maybe you have a better picture. Has Ghostface always been able to just pop? I know he's always popped right back up, but has it ever seemed superhuman?
No.
Okay, well, this movie's edging towards the slightly superhuman kind of feeling, even though they still do a good job of... In fact, sometimes Ghostface's action is so goofy that it makes you think you're watching one of the Scary Movie films, because he really will scramble and get up, and that face, that mask really can't... You know how the mask changes in the Scary Movie film?
Yeah.
You almost feel like he's making a face like, oh, at some parts of the movie. So I don't know. It was bad, but it was fun, I guess would be a fair argument. But it does feel like I felt a little bummed to be watching a Scream movie that I was going, yeah, this is even more so than some of the other ones that haven't quite worked for me. This felt like a kind of a step down in terms of just how engaging it is and even maybe what it's trying to do.
Right.
But yeah, a couple of very memorable kills. One in particular that's really gruesome and maybe a little over the top, but at least you got to give him credit for going with it. And then there's another kill that seems really strange given who we find out the killer is. And that's what I mean about the math of a Scream movie. I don't know that I've ever sat down with a Scream movie and made sure that all the math works as far as who was here and who could have been there and where was the killer. And, you know, once you find out later who the killer was, I don't know if I've ever sat down and made sure that every Scream movie works perfectly under its own logic. Frequently, the thing that bumps me about the earlier movies is when the killer is revealed to be someone who's like 5'4", and we've seen Ghostface tower over David Arquette in a scene or something like that. Things like that kind of bug me, but they don't break the world exactly. This movie felt like it was even sloppier in that respect. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, maybe someone could show me how it all works out. But I felt there were hints. There were little moments that felt like, oh, this feels like Kevin Williamson going back to basics would be the way that I would, if I was going to be very positive about what this movie does in terms of how does it innovate? How does it add anything? It's a back to basics effect. But they get really cute with like talking about Nev Campbell sitting out Scream 6. Like there's, I should have helped you in New York. And it's like, well, you didn't really need to come to New York. That wasn't that important. You know, like little things that are just sort of like, okay, we get it. You know, you don't have to keep hyping the fact that Nev Campbell is back in this movie. But
it really bums me out that Christopher Landon wasn't a part of this movie.
Well, also the stuff that happened politically around the casting. I mean, I know a lot of people were kind of boycotting this. Like, it is a little, I wasn't crazy about the new core four that kept returning, but like, I do think that felt like a storyline that they just had to abandon because the two lead actresses from the last movie are not part of this. Yeah. And like, I don't know, it feels like a weird recapitulation. And I will say, you know, Courtney Cox, she's definitely... They don't commit a crime against her bangs like they did in Scream 3, but whoever's drawing her eyebrows on needs to ease off. Ease off.
Well, I'm bummed to hear this. Well, I mean, slightly. I mean, I've heard a lot of negative things about it, but I've tried to stay away from it because I want to try to see it maybe this weekend, but yeah, I had a lot of worries about this film, and honestly, the more I heard about the movie, the more worried I got in terms of like who was involved in it and things like that. And if some of these things that I'm guessing come to be, I'd be very disappointed. So I'll report back.
Yes, you mean in terms of who might be returning and in what capacity and such. Yes. I would say that one of the things that bumped me the most, in fact, the thing I laughed out loud at, has to do with a reveal related to that. And one of the worst scenes, if not the worst scene in the movie, is the scene, if you've heard any reference to like multiple faces that might pop up in this movie, one of the worst scenes in the whole series is that scene. So
oh god,
yeah, okay,
great, wonderful.
Yeah. So go see it.
Thanks, John.
Everybody rush out to go see Scream 7.
Anybody else have anything they want to mention? I'm good to go.
Is there anything else worth mentioning? I guess not. You know what I've been watching is a bunch of trash. I've been watching a lot of Traitors, and then after Alan Cumming betrayed us at the BAFTAs, I've started watching Traitors UK, and I hate to say it, but not as fun when the host of Traitors is not a weird little evil man in crazy costumes who comes in. So I got to give Alan Cumming credit for being a more interesting. Whatever you think. I think have you watched Traitors at all? Either one of you?
Yep.
Okay, so have you watched UK, Ronald?
Yep.
Okay. I find it almost off-putting after watching Alan Cumming how sort of sincere Claudia is with them, even though I recognize that like a lot of people might like that approach. But one thing I didn't expect, I always thought Americans were the emotional ones, and
Right.
that Brits were like these reserved people. But there's more crying in an episode of Traitors UK than a whole season of an American reality show. I was shocked at how emotional they all were throughout. And I think on American television, what we need is a host who comes in crazy outfits and speaks in a cartoonish Scottish accent, and like we love that. Looking at the things they did to the format to make it more American, it almost insults America to say that's what it's like, oh, we need a talking hot dog who's got an American flag cape on to be coming through. But I think it was kind of interesting seeing how much more like when you watch American television, anyone on a reality competition like that, they're like there to have, I want to cut throats and I want to like kill everybody and it's going to be great and I've got this going on and that going on. The Brits are much more like nobody wants to be a traitor, and they're all very personally offended by the idea that people are betraying them. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but I was shocked at how emotional they were compared to us. I thought the whole stiff upper lip was the whole British thing.
Yeah.
But no, they are crying if they're killing people, they're crying. If they're getting killed, they're crying. If they're almost getting killed, they're crying the most of anybody. And I support crying. So, for me to notice that, I was like, geez, somebody come on.
Every once in a while you'll get like a villain and they'll be like, I'm gonna kill every fucking body here.
Yeah.
Something like that, but that's not really like, you're right. It's not quite as prominent as it is in American version. There's so much more evil, I think, in American version.
Like they're relishing the evil.
Yeah. They're like rubbing their hands together. Hey, they'll never believe. Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's really funny. Good show though.
No, it's actually I don't know if you guys ever do this. Watching a reality competition show, you'll find yourself analyzing the format and the gameplay and the style of it, and you'll come out of it going like, the construction of this game, like it's a well-constructed game. And the more you watch of it, the more you realize the way that it's designed to trip you up and fuck you up. Even if you like, it's just like, it's a well-designed game in that sense. So I definitely found it kind of addictive. But yeah, I haven't watched anything that I'm proud to have watched. And I am now wondering who on this call is the traitor.
Yeah, Aaron recently, our friends kind of turned her on to it. I watched the first season, some of the second, and the most recent, the back end of the most recent one with her, the one with Alan Cumming hosting it.
Hello, my little movie munchers.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to start every show now.
Quite the show.
Well, did we do it?
That's it. That's a wrap.
So next week we'll be here to talk about vampires. What was your pick again?
Dracula. 2026 is Luc Besson's Dracula.
I know Steve mentioned a vampire movie.
You lost it.
It's not a famous one, is it? Dracula. Is that one word? So we got Dracula. We'll probably be talking about some post-op on the Oscars if you'd like to hear us do that.
Yes.
And I think next week we should cover, because we have access, we should cover Jury Duty Presents Company Retreat. Which
I second the notion.
Which I've only seen the trailer and it looks like an incredible setup. How can they do a second season to Jury Duty? I think they found a way.
Yes.
It looks like they did it again. It looks like they found a super nice guy to put at the center of it, which seemed to be the secret of the first season. But what I love about the trailer is it hints at a kind of, if this were a movie, it hints at a kind of snobs versus slobs structure. There's some other company coming in that they might be selling, that the boss might be selling the company to. And so it seems like there's a little bit of the employees banding together to save the company from the company that might be coming in to
Yes.
take over. And that's totally
Yes.
like the plot of an 80s comedy. You know what I
Love
mean?
it.
And it's
Yes.
like, so if they pull that off, which they really seem to be doing, you know, if anyone knows, the Jury Duty was like a magic trick of a reality show, and which the premise is everybody's an actor except for one guy. If anybody remembers Joe Schmo from the early 2000s, it's, you know, that was sort of like that, but this is even more elaborate, the way they create a whole reality around this person. So I just hope they don't break his little heart, because he seems like a very sweet man.
Alrighty then. Movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to listen to episodes, subscribe to the episodes on your favorite platform for podcasts. You can also go to youtube.com/Movie Schmovie Podcast to subscribe to the videos, long, short, to the audio only. Also, the special videos that we release on there, the shorts, the home cut that Ronald does, his Kaleidoscape reviews, all that's on the YouTube channel. You go there, subscribe, make sure you hit the bell to get the notifications when new episodes come out or new videos drop. We would appreciate that. And if you subscribe anywhere, or even if you just kind of follow us on a social media page, if you can comment on stuff, if episodes, something you like, you don't like, suggestions, anything like that, we love the feedback. Or if there's another Dracula movie that we should try to convince John to choose between now and next week to keep it going, feel free to drop that info there for me.
I'm rebelling against that time. There was one time where we had a theme and Ronald veered off the theme, didn't we? We were all going to do horror movies in a row.
Yeah.
And then Ronald said, "Fuck John," because he knows how much I love a structure and a format. So we'll see. We'll see how generous I feel. But I felt like the movie that I was gonna pick next week, I felt like it was a real gift to certain people on the podcast that I was finally choosing this film. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel.
All right, cool.
Do I feel vampiric? Or do I feel like a traitor?
A traitor. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week, and as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.